A big warship that can carry, launch, and recover aircraft is called an aircraft carrier. The United States has multiple aircraft carriers, and the newest one is the USS Gerald R Ford.
USS Gerald R Ford is out at sea. The aircraft carrier finally left for its first warfighting deployment after years of delays and technical glitches.
All hands man your battle stations. Set material conditions even throughout the ship.
It's incredibly expensive, costing billions of dollars. The USS Gerald R Ford is the latest and most advanced aircraft carrier in the U.S. Navy.
That's where the new aircraft carrier Gerald R Ford has been under construction for 4 years. It's not quite done yet. It will replace the USS Enterprise, which is on its last scheduled deployment.
It weighs 100,000 tons, is 106 feet long, and has a flight deck area as large as 4.5 acres. This aircraft carrier can carry up to 90 aircraft, including F-35 stealth fighters. It has a new electromagnetic catapult system that launches planes faster and more efficiently than the old steam-powered system.
The Navy's newest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R Ford, deployed for the first time in early October.
The USS Gerald R Ford is equipped with advanced radar systems and has a unique design compared to the older Nimitz-class carriers. You are watching Battleground. Consider subscribing to watch regular episodes. The USS Gerald R Ford is the first ship in the Ford class of aircraft carriers, a new class introduced after more than 40 years. It will gradually replace the older Nimitz-class carriers. U.S. Navy aircraft carriers are powerful symbols of American military strength and global influence. They can project air power over long distances, support amphibious operations, and deter potential adversaries. This capability makes the aircraft carrier unstoppable, and it concerns China.
China destroying a U.S. aircraft carrier in a disturbing simulation.
Additionally, it's noteworthy that Japan is rapidly strengthening its military in preparation for a potential conflict with China. In the world of naval warfare, the USS Gerald R Ford is a symbol of always trying to make things better and stronger. This aircraft carrier is the first of its kind, and it has changed the way we think about naval power. It started its service on July 22, 2017, and went on its first mission on October 4, 2022, which is a big deal in naval history. Besides all the cool technology it has, the USS Gerald R Ford is also really important for the Indo-Pacific region, especially for Japan. It shows that the US is committed to having a strong presence in the area and making sure everyone can sail freely. The USS Gerald R Ford means a lot to Japan, because the US and Japan have been friends for a long time. They both believe in the same things and work together to keep the world safe. Japan even hosts some US military bases, like the Yokosuka Naval Base, where another aircraft carrier, the USS Ronald Reagan, is stationed. Having these carriers in the region shows how much the US and Japan work together to keep things stable.
The US, Philippines and Japan have begun joint naval drills for the first time in the strategically important South China Sea.
The USS Gerald R Ford and the USS Ronald Reagan are like a superhero team for the Indo-Pacific. They make it clear that if anyone tries to be aggressive, they'll have to deal with a strong force. These carriers also help the US work with other countries in the region, like Australia, India, South Korea, and the Philippines. This teamwork makes everyone better prepared to handle challenges. The USS Gerald R Ford is part of a plan by the US Navy to have a strong presence around the world. Out of the 11 aircraft carriers the US Navy uses, 6 are in the Indo-Pacific region. This shows how important this part of the world is in the US's plans. This commitment wants to increase the number of ships in the fleet from 296 to 355 by 2030. They want more submarines, destroyers, amphibious ships, and unmanned vessels. The 7th Fleet, the biggest one in the US Navy, shows they're serious about this by having 50 to 70 ships and submarines in the Western Pacific and Indian Oceans.
They have a very capable submarine force, and we've seen an increase in submarine activity over the last few years that causes me pause.
The USS Gerald R Ford, along with other carriers like the USS Ronald Reagan, USS Theodore Roosevelt, and USS Nimitz, is a big deal. This is the largest deployment of US aircraft carriers in the Pacific since 2017. These carriers are huge, with more than 60 planes on each, and they make a strong presence that shows power and stability in the region. This deployment also shows how much the US Navy is committed to working closely with its friends in the area. Why is China concerned? China's unease regarding US aircraft carriers stems from the perceived threat to its territorial claims and strategic interests. China has been actively building artificial islands and military bases in the contested South China Sea, asserting sovereignty over the entire waterway. The U.S. opposes these claims, regularly conducting freedom of navigation operations with aircraft carriers in the region, viewed by China as provocations and violations of its sovereignty, leading to heightened tensions. A major worry for China is the potential U.S. intervention in a conflict involving Taiwan, a self-ruled island that China considers a breakaway province. As Taiwan's main security partner and arms supplier, the U.S.'s commitment to defending it amplifies China's concerns, given the projection of power and support capabilities of U.S. aircraft carriers. Additionally, Japan, a key player in the region, shares concerns about China's military expansion and assertiveness, particularly in the East China Sea. The ongoing disagreement between Japan and China revolves around a set of empty islands known as Senkaku in Japan. This is a major source of tension between the two countries. Japan considers these islands to be part of its own territory and has sent ships and planes to protect them in response to changing security situations. To enhance its defense capabilities, Japan has been increasing its defense budget. The budget for the fiscal year 2023 is the largest ever in terms of money. Even though Japan spends about 1% of its total economic output on defense, it is still below the 2% goal set by NATO for its member countries. A noteworthy part of Japan's defense strategy is the decision to build 2 Aegis-equipped vessels. This decision came after dropping plans to use the US-made Aegis Ashore missile defense system because of technical and cost problems. These new vessels are designed to stop ballistic missiles in the outer atmosphere and cruise missiles in the final stage, making Japan's missile defense stronger. Japan is also investing in new frigates to replace old destroyer escort ships. These frigates will have advanced weaponry, including a 127mm naval gun, a vertical launching system for ESSM, and Type 17 anti-ship missiles. They will also have a helicopter hangar for SH-60K anti-submarine helicopters. Japan is placing considerable emphasis on hypersonic missiles, marking a significant advancement in its military technology. These missiles are anticipated to cover distances exceeding 500 kilometers and travel at speeds of Mach 5 or beyond. Their capability to penetrate enemy air defenses and target high-value assets like aircraft carriers and command centers enhances Japan's deterrence capabilities. Additionally, Japan is working on a hypersonic glide vehicle, HGB, that can maneuver in the atmosphere after launch, further strengthening its striking capabilities. As part of its commitment to maintaining a strong defense stance, Japan is actively pursuing a new fighter jet, the FX. This stealthy twin-engine multi-role aircraft is designed to seamlessly operate alongside the US-made F-35. It features advanced sensors, electronic warfare capabilities, and network communication systems, reflecting Japan's dedication to modernizing its defense capabilities. China and Japan, both important players in the Indo-Pacific region, are navigating through a complex strategic situation as the geopolitical landscape keeps changing. A significant concern for them is the presence of American aircraft carriers, which has become a focal point in their ongoing power struggle. China, aspiring to be a superpower, sees these massive ships as a potential threat. The American aircraft carriers symbolize military strength and worry China, because they could challenge China's claims and strategic interests in the region. The tension is particularly rooted in the South China Sea dispute. China has been constructing artificial islands and military bases in this area, asserting control over what it considers its own territory. On the other hand, the United States regularly conducts freedom of navigation operations using its aircraft carriers and warships. The U.S. doesn't acknowledge China's territorial claims in the South China Sea, adding to the complexity of the situation. These operations have led to occasional tensions and worsened regional rivalries because China sees them as provocations and violations of its sovereignty. One of China's major concerns is the potential involvement of American aircraft carriers in a conflict over Taiwan. Taiwan is a self-governing island perceived by China as a separatist province. The United States is Taiwan's primary security ally and arms provider, committed to defending it against Chinese aggression. This commitment worries China greatly, as the presence of American aircraft carriers near Taiwan could significantly impact the outcome of any potential conflict. On the other hand, Japan is also uneasy about China's military buildup and assertiveness in the East China Sea. The two nations are engaged in a prolonged dispute over a group of uninhabited islands known as Senkaku in Japan and Diaoyu in China. Both countries strongly assert their sovereignty over these islands. The configuration of this geopolitical chessboard is likely to change in the coming years, influenced by the role of American aircraft carriers and Japan's military modernization efforts. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel.